Everybody in the chat wants to talk realignment. I was going to talk practice and then get into it, but I guess we can go ahead and get into it. Everybody wants to know. I believe it's going to be Tuesday that we finally get the deadline, the August 15th deadline on, if we are going to be able to want to leave by next school year. Personally, I don't see that happening. I think we may hear something from our people, but if anything, it'll be, looking at possibly 2025. Is there anything new you have on that, Chris?
I can't speak on it.
Can't speak on it. That means something something's brewing, folks. But if Chris says he can't speak on it, it's something pretty serious. Go ahead, James.
I would just say it's a complicated situation that's going to take things to clear up, whether it happens or it doesn't happen. But I can tell you this right here, and this is just me. Chris might, correct me off camera because he can't speak on things. But just think about I'm teaching everybody how you can be a beat writer too, people. If you have logic and common sense and you can read tea leaves, you don't need somebody in the building to know that Florida can't make $80 million a year and Florida State make 30 and this continue. I'm sorry. It doesn't take when I saw people that I think are actually rather intelligent saying this, I'm like, yo, you are bugging, B. But if we do, which we are, 2024, there is this little game that would really cause a mess if we got out of the conference before that. To Dublin, Ireland, it would cause a lot more headaches than it would be to just finish out the season. And it's also always good to have your last hurrah. Texas, Oklahoma have done it. Many guys have done it. It's not that it's impossible to happen. It's just not logical to happen because you inadvertently affect a lot of other things when you just pull out like that. So it's a situation where I would say if it's at the earliest to me, just again, this is using deductive reasoning. We're probably talking about 26, and it may even be longer than that. But here's the thing: I can promise you this. We will be. It will happen. It's just a matter of when. And I think we're going to have a lot of buildup to where we're laying out a case because you can't just say, "I'm out." It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a long time coming. 10 years, over 10 years dealing with this particular grant of rights deal contract that they signed back in 2013 and extended in 2016. Back then when this whole thing started, I want to say the SEC went from like 24 million a year to like 30 million, and we settled, ended up somewhere about 24, 25 million, somewhere 7 million behind. Like Florida State was fine with that. When you look heading towards 2036 and you've got a $50 million gap, like you said, we're going to be at 30 and we're there at 80. It's totally untenable. And the big question is Big 10 or SEC. I've talked about it a lot. Big 10 makes the most sense. I know you guys have both talked about it a lot. There's that conflict of interest there with the ACC and the SEC. Do they, reach some kind of deal to try to keep Florida State in the SEC? That's kind of been the popular theory the past couple of days. I keep telling people, I don't think so, but I wouldn't mind it. It wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened. But to me, I'm going to stick with what I've been saying. That's all signs point to the Big Ten. Chris can't speak on any particulars, anything that's happened recently, but if you've watched this show or listened to these guys talk over the past years, Florida State is well on their way to getting the AAU research designation. They've been really just putting all these pieces into place since Michael Alford took over as athletic director, moving over from the booster department to make this happen kind of behind the scenes. If you read the tea leaves, like James was saying, so just hold on, guys. We'll report it as soon as we can, but I think we'll hear something by August 15th. Like I said, and like James said, I think you're looking at 25, 26 before you see Florida State with that Big 10 or SEC patch, on their chest.
I'll say this: rumors. is that there may be a stencil for a particular for a conference already already ready. So like it's not that it's
Okay.
like, far off. It's just like I said, guys, it will happen when it happens.
Everybody thinks it's as simple as saying we're leaving. We've already said that. Like in so many words, Florida State has clearly stated that we're going to have to remove ourselves from the ACC conference unless something radical happened in the revenue. The only way that I can see Florida State staying in the ACC, and it's not going to happen, but the only way that it could happen is if Notre Dame joins 100% to the ACC conference and brings that NBC contract with them. And then they got to learn how to share. Right now, that's the issue. They don't want to share. They have full voting rights, which is also BS, with only being a partial member. What the hell is a partial member anyway? I mean, what are we? It's ignorance. But it's the same reason that Notre Dame doesn't want to join. It's the same reason that Florida State and Clemson want to leave. It's not hard to figure out. Right now, Notre Dame can get paid more money independently than they can if they join the ACC. Why would they give that up? The only way that they're going to be forced to give that up is if College Football Playoff Committee or the NCAA says you can no longer be independent and go for a national title or end up in the playoffs or what have it. Well, they're not going to say that. The reason they're not going to say that is because of how much money it brings to them if Notre Dame is in that conversation. It's all about money, and Notre Dame knows what they're doing, and I have nothing against what they're doing. I actually think it's smart. As much as I don't like that it affects us in the ACC, it's smart for them. And guess who they're watching out for? Notre Dame. Notre Dame is looking out for Notre Dame. If and when, not if, but when Florida State decides that they are going to leave the conference, it's because they're watching out for Florida State. It's as simple as it gets. Florida State will eventually leave the ACC. Will they announce it by August 15th of this year? We'll see. But what I will say is only if they say it on or before August 15th that Florida State is looking to leave the ACC and they will be going elsewhere. That doesn't mean that in the season of 2024 or the season of 25 that Florida State is going to be out of the ACC. You have to put all of these plans into place, and it's a lot harder to change conferences than it is to change your britches every morning. I know that people don't understand that. They think it's just, put the Big 10 on the logo, on the school, and go play Big 10 teams. It's not that simple. If it was, then it would be done already. When you're in the situation that Florida State's in with the grant of rights being a possible situation for you, which Florida State's very confident that they have that managed. Now it's more so of what you've already got promised to your fan base, what you've already sold as far as the 24 season goes with going to Dublin, what you've already got in place for all of your university is set for the year of 24. It's not officially set for 25 yet. So what I would think you would hear if they announced on the 15th or before the 15th, you would hear Florida State is actively going to leave the ACC after the 2024 season comes to an end, or after the 2025 season comes to an end. That's what you're going to hear. It's not going to be, we're leaving the ACC, 2024, we'll see you at the Big 10. That doesn't work that fast. It takes a year to come up with a year exit plan on how to do this. Do I think Florida State's done their due diligence and done so? Yes, I do. Do I think they already have a plan in place to do all of this? Yes, I do. Do I think they're ready to submit that to the general public, the ACC, and the other conferences of body? Not yet. The reason it's not yet is because they're 100% getting they're crossing all of their T's and dotting all of their I's, because the last thing that they want is to remove themselves from a conference and it hurt Florida State in any way more measurable than what it costs you to get out of the conference. So you have to do things in a very legal, diplomatic way. You don't just say, the hell with you guys, we're gone. It just doesn't work that way. This is a business, whether people want to see it or not. You have to do this to where you don't burn bridges behind you and you don't blow the ones up in front of you. So the way you treat this conference on an exit, it shows a lot to how you're going to treat the conference that you're entering. So if you go and play Wild Wild West with the ACC, then it does become a question of, well, shit, if that's how they play this, do we really want them in our conference? What happens when they get mad at us? Are they going to do the same thing to us? So now when you do it 100% the correct way, which is the way that Florida State's going to do it, then everyone can accept and understand that Florida State is doing this basically just because of the unfair revenue share. That's as simple as it is. They had no choice. They were put in a corner, and they had to make this decision. So once they do so, I see us in the Big Ten or the SEC 2026 when we actually play a Big Ten schedule or an SEC schedule. I would see it for the year of 2026. But you're going to have to announce it way before then. So either it's going to be announced in 2024 or it's going to be announced before the 15th. We'll see which one happens first.
All right, you heard it here, guys. I totally agree. I threw out 25. Both of them thinks 26, and
Go Knowles, and thanks for joining us. Be sure to join myself, Chris Frazier of Spear Addicts, and Seymour Stats on the weekly FSU Real Talk Space, Wednesday at noon Eastern, live on Twitter Spaces. Also Friday via the main Voice of College Football YouTube channel. Be sure to catch out the post-game show panel of all the post-game shows Mark Rogers has hosting for his different Voice of College Football channels. And then also Saturday 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll be live streaming this week's special guests for the Renegade Rundown, Seymour Stacks, and Sam from the Listen Up podcast. Go Knowles.